在加拿大的 Nova Scotia 省的Mi'kmaq族非常的忧虑。例如，这是一位来自 Nova Scotia 的Mi'kmaq族的孩子，他也在学习如何跳传统舞，如何唱族语歌。例如，这张照片就是拍摄在一场夏至的祭典的仪式 powwow 的现场所拍到的场面。但是，难道真的强烈的自我认同，这个社会就会愿意接受说你是一个原住民吗？现在的加拿大印第安法案严格制定了原住民族的身份认定的标准。加拿大东部的Mi'kmaq族的族人就认为，所谓作为一个原住民的认同，不可以单单根据这份法案说只是看血缘的比例而已，认为还必须跟语言、条约权、土地权等等要素交织而成。认同的构成就必须像是一张交织紧密的大网，是生活的，是工作的，是信仰的，是文化的，是传统的认同，是许许多多的因素，才让原住民族之所以成为原住民族。
Sometimes it takes 3 generations to return home. I've tracked the migration of eels and monarchs. They've taught me how.
Mi'kmaq 族的诗人朗诵自己写的诗，对身为Mi'kmaq族的认同就交织在生活中、工作中的每个细节。
Now I'm a link in these generations of being Mi'kmaq as a mother, and lots of other stories about trying to connect with not just who I am as a Mi'kmaq person, but who I am as a human being living on the earth and feeling disconnected from the earth or falling in love with the earth.
这样和土地的密切连结，在Mi'kmaq族语称为netukulimk，文化、传统以及语言都从中孕育而生。
When you bring them back to the land, you then realize, wow, that's like their face lights up, their spirit comes alive, and everything changes in them. And then you realize that is who we are. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's how we relate to the land. It's how we relate to each other.
除了跟土地的连结，到底还可以如何认定一个人的原住民族身份？对Mi'kmaq族人来说，认同并不只是在血缘。
It's definitely changed. The new age of who we are as First Nation and Indian Act state, and there has to be a blood quantum, isn't fair to the diversity of people of us leaving our home communities and marrying outside our own cultures.
有Mi'kmaq族人认为，定义一个人的身份不只在血缘，而是到底过着怎么样的生活。
Maybe the question isn't who is in and who is out, but rather what is that we want in the future from Mi'kmaq people. By beginning with the end goal in mind and saying, in the future we want Mi'kmaq people to understand this about Mi'kmaq people, we were able to rephrase the question as, what are the responsibilities and values that are important to Mi'kmaq people?
The first would be language. The next would be traditions, culture, and family, and sharing it. I think the biggest part of our culture is that we're very open to embracing everybody.
对许多Mi'kmaq族人来说，语言是认同建立很重要的一部分。这是维持Mi'kmaq族之所以是Mi'kmaq族的重要战场。
I realized at a young age because my grandparents were basket makers, and hearing them speak Mi'kmaq and learning the ways. I even remember my grandfather making us bows and arrows, stuff like that. But I was like, whoa, I got a culture. I think I felt it before I knew what the word meant.
这位保留区的族语教师表示，在他离开保留区到其他地方就学的时候，才真正知道。
And I remember saying to one little boy, "Nah," and he was like looking at me, and all it means in our language is like here. Well, I think it was a crayon or something. Nah, and he was looking at me like, what are you saying? And then I realized, whoa, something's different. And then my grandfather, I remember going home and saying, they don't understand what I'm saying, little words. Well, Grace, you're going to have to learn to speak some English.
当年的小男孩，现在努力想要把语言找回来，但会说Mi'kmaq族语的人数逐年下降。这位族语老师对自己现在所教导的孩子充满期待，希望可以借由学族语，让下一代强化作为Mi'kmaq族的认同。
It changed me. I felt more unique, and I was like really happy with that. I was like, wow, I'm special. And I realized the whole world is different, and there's not too many Mi'kmaq people here. wow, we live in all in one community.
语言之外，认同的存在还有另外一个重要战场。就在14年前，Mi'kmaq族坚持要根据祖先跟殖民政府所签订的条约，Mi'kmaq族享有渔猎权，这也是Mi'kmaq族条约权中很重要的一部分。所以原住民族人在高等法院颁布禁渔令后，仍然出海，因此和加拿大海洋渔业部之间爆发严重冲突。认同存在于对于条约权的坚持不退让，然而对条约权的不同解读，却也是内部分化的主要因素。
Because that's where our power lies, in our health, in our wellness, and our asserting our title and our treaty. That's where it is, not in anything else, not in KMK or not in Harper's Parliament.
KMK 是Mi'kmaq族权利倡议的简称。这个倡议行动由 Nova Scotia 省的Mi'kmaq族领导人所成立，目的在商议条约对未来的世代应该要扮演的角色。
That was our promise that was given to us, that if we honored our covenant with the Creator and our covenant with one another, that we would remain Mi'kmaq forever. And we've done that. And now these guys want to come around and say, well, no, hold it. We're going to redefine that.
对 Elizabeth Marshall 来说，所谓的条约权并不只是法律的定义，更是生活的方式。
It's also that spirit of taking good care of one another and taking good care of everything in nature. It's a very sacred trust.
照顾者、保护者，有一群人透过不同的方式，在土地上实践着自己身为原住民族的权利。语言和条约权都是身份认同不可或缺的元素，而这两种元素的根源来自于土地。就在去年，Mi'kmaq族与 Nova Scotia 省针对一块位于熊河第一民族保留区附近的土地达成共管协议。这块土地的所有权人是一个大型的私人林业公司，但是由 Mi'kmaq 族人来管理。
And now we're saying, I think it's time we apply our own knowledge to the land, because I think it's our role as Mi'kmaq people, as First Nations people, to be healers of the land, to be a part of the land.
在这里，Mi'kmaq族人告诉外来伐木者哪些树可以砍，哪些树不行。传统知识与现代经济林业的微妙平衡，用Mi'kmaq族的方式进行。
That part alone, it's going to be hard for big industry to come in and squish us, because this land really needs it, and other people really need Mi'kmaq people to be a part of it, because our ancestors have been here so long. Our teachings go way back, and who we are as people go way back, and it really runs deep into the heart of the land.
语言、条约权、土地都是认同建立的元素，但是到底谁可以决定谁是Mi'kmaq族？
There's a lot of different options available to us, and a lot of people have said to us that Mi'kmaq should determine who Mi'kmaq are. And some of the suggestions we've heard so far is that, we need Mi'kmaq committees deciding that.
许多人都同意，现行的印第安法根本行不通，更可能会让未来世代失去原住民族身份。
I think when we look at the way the Indian Act does it, it's based on a formula. You're in, you're out, you're 100%, you're 50%, you're not Indian.
I can't figure out these numbers. They don't make sense. I can't see them like jigsaw puzzle in you, but but it's written on paper, but do you see it as a person?
这位长者仍然记得，在他小时候，这些才是长辈会问的问题。
Who's your parents? Who's your mother? Who's your father?
Danwedebeksin. And that's a Mi'kmaq term that has really no English equivalent, but it's basically of asking people who their family is, how they were raised, where they come from, all in one word encompassing Danwedebeksin.
不过，就算是由族人自己来进行认定，也不容易。根据第一民族身份认定准则制定人员的说法，要脱离印第安法的既定思考模式，是最大的挑战。
And that's all that I've ever known, and I'm sure, and it's been like that for every individual across Canada. And colonialistic thinking is something that's been embedded within us for such a long period of time. It's a process to decolonize our own thinking in order to move forward, to think of different systems that aren't going to be part of that.
孩子在游乐场上无忧无虑的嬉戏，他们也许还不明白身份认同究竟是怎么一回事。
The way that I see Mi'kmaq identity is that it's kind of like this really all-encompassing umbrella where it's not just whether or not you have status or not. It's not just calculating your blood quantum. And it can't just be if you speak the language or not. It can't just be, how you practice your spirituality. But all of those things are part of it and could be part of it. And you might have a few of those things, but not all of it.
也许谁是Mi'kmaq族人这个问题不会有解答，但终极目标却再清楚不过，那就是永远都要有Mi'kmaq族在这片土地上用Mi'kmaq族的方式生活。
I call this river home because it was my place to return to.
记者杜希卡洛整理报道。